I would say simplifying things. Like a lot of like PMs tend to be very smart people. Very smart people can go deep on topics, and the wrong type of PMs make it complex because they want to look smart, right? The best PMs, they simplify everything. Like they make it look like you're talking to a golden retriever, like because
Mhm.
it will just help everything work better. So simplifying things, it's a very
Yeah.
underrated skill.
Welcome to the Product Weekend podcast with Brito, Moita and Tojal. We hope you enjoy.
Hey, welcome to the very first episode of our show. Today we have a very special guest for you, André Albuquerque. André is a founder, investor, advisor, and product leader, and on this episode he shares a lot of his knowledge and experiences. In particular, we talked about the definition of product management, how to get into product, the impact of AI in the discipline, dives a bit into his experiences at Kitch, and into his future plans with the 1 month PM. The conversation was a lot of fun, and we hope you learn a lot with it. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave us a rating on your favorite podcast app and share the episode with your network, as it will help us grow and bring you even more relevant content. Now I leave you with André Albuquerque. Hope you enjoy. Welcome, André. How's it going? How are you doing?
I'm very good. I'm very good, guys.
Hi
Appreciate the
André,
invite.
hi
Hi,
Moita.
Joel. Hi, Joel.
Yeah.
All right, let's get it going. Let's start with something a bit more personal before we get into product management topics. What's a recent weekend that you really enjoy?
Uh, so a bit more than a weekend, maybe my last vacation that included a couple of weekends. So I have a beach house in Porto Santo, in Madeira, and every time I go there, it's just unleashes creativity. Like you spend every single day kind of grinding, building stuff, and if you're doing content, you spend every single day thinking about content and thinking about how to translate a lot of the learnings and the knowledge and the wisdom you get from other people so that more people can learn from that. And when I go to Portanto, it's like you walk in the beach, you don't think about technology, you get to think about the future. Like 1 month PM started in a Portanto walk in the beach. Started there, hopefully a big year. So yeah, I'd say that is a combination of weekends and weekdays that really enjoyed.
Nice. Creativity boost powered by the beach and good weather.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
nice. Cool. And yeah, a lot of our listeners have probably heard about you, especially the ones in Portugal, and especially because of the 1 month PM that you just mentioned. But for the ones that don't know a lot about your path, can you give us a brief introduction
Yeah.
of how you got into tech and how you got where you are now?
Yeah, sure. So I usually joke saying that I try to take the laziest path and then work harder than everyone in that lazy path. I studied arts, got into architecture, realized I love technology and management more than that. So I dropped, I went to business school, and going from arts to business school is much easier than going from the economics or science fields into business school. So lazy path number one. Then in business school, I realized like I really wanted to be within technology. So I found a way to get into Google. That's kind of the not lazy because getting into Google is not easy, but then while you're there, it becomes easier to be within technology. And I got to work with engineering and product without having a technical background. So again, kind of a lazy path. I have a lot of friends who studied engineering. They suffered a lot for quite a few years. Business school is generally easier. And then I got to transition into product from growth and from marketing. Again, a bit easier than transitioning from an engineering role or other types of role. And that's how I got into technology. That's how I've been building product. That's how I've been joining and building companies now. And that's kind of like in a nutshell my background.
Cool. Could you also tell us a bit about your earlier experiences in product and with entrepreneurship? I know you have
Yeah, sure.
you've had quite a few
Yeah.
interesting experiences.
Yeah, sure. So at Google, I realized that I really wanted smaller environments. Like I was in the middle of amazing, some of the smartest people I've ever worked with, but I have a thirst to build stuff. I have a thirst to be in the middle of engineers, of designers, of people who get to do stuff I really don't know how. Now with no code stuff and your ability to build products without the need or help of engineering and design becomes easier to understand how they do the magic they do. But still, like you want to be in the middle of those really smart people. So I realized I had to go like quite a few levels down to a new company. So I joined Uniplaces, I think maybe 10 years ago, to build this marketplace for student housing. We got super lucky. We raised a bunch of money from amazing investors. We got to grow the team from like 5 or 6 when I joined to maybe 100, 200 people when I left. Then I
Well,
went to
you're
build fintech.
lucky.
Yeah, luck has a bigger role than most people think about. Like, of course, I usually say like you need to work really hard because when luck rains on you, you'll be prepared, right?
Increasing the surface area, right?
Exactly, exactly. So you control how hard you work and how prepared you are. You don't control luck, but luck has a lot to do with you being able to achieve something, get access to the talent, convince people. Of course, hard work makes you prepared for that situation, but luck has a big part. And then went from new places, built a fintech, and then built Kitch or helped build Kitch, and now like building 1 month PM, a couple of other projects. Happy to talk about, but that's kind of the background in product. Yeah, that's it.
Super. Cool. And yeah, you've worked with many product managers, and also we all know there's many shades to product management. But generally, how do you define the role of a product manager?
Yeah, for me, it's the ultimate enabler. It's someone that lives in the middle of people involved in building product, or delivering initiatives or building projects or whatever it is that is a way to prove an hypothesis, which often comes in the form of solving a problem. Ideally, to create value for the company and to create value for a customer or user, and that exchange creates value for everyone. So you're an enabler. You help make things happen. Of course, you're not going to be the one actually building stuff. You're just supporting others. I usually joke that a PM is akin to a janitor that's in the ground floor trying to clean stuff, removing stuff from the path so that the team can run as fast as possible. I generally say it's the simplifier in charge, meaning you take complex topics, you take maybe a vision, which is sometimes hard to grasp, and you simplify it for people to know what to do so that they can run, so that they can execute. You're also someone who fills the gaps, right? When nobody knows who is supposed to do something, you are the person. And you should be finding ways to unlock others to get to that success place or deliver on that milestone. So that's kind of my principles to think what a product person. Of course,
Mhm.
as you said, there's many shades because different companies have different setups, different problems have different approaches, different cultures and executions and processes are done differently. So a PM needs to be able to adjust themselves to the situation. But often these principles end up being true whenever you work in product.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So now I wanted to go into a bit of more practical advice, if we
Mhm.
can, because just to kind of contextualize, for example, in my case, I was very fortunate to transition inside of my company into a PM role. But when we look at the market, you kind of feel like there's not many opportunities for someone to get into the role of a PM, and like the associate vacancies are really short. There's not a lot of options for someone that is junior.
Mhm.
So if you were going to get into the market, imagine as a new a person that wants to go into PM, how would you approach it? Like, what would you do to kind of increase your work surface area, right? As you
Yeah, of
talked
course.
before, just to try and get that role.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's easy to understand why junior or non-experienced positions are often not common. The product role is often a high responsibility, high accountability, high reward type of role, and putting someone who has never shipped anything with that responsibility is a big risk for the company. And often you only hire product people when there's already chaos or when you already need to enable and accelerate very expensive people like engineers and designers. So imagine putting someone with less experience in this situation. I mean, that's potentially high risk, but is it high reward? Hard, right? And often when you're a product leader and you're hiring for a product role, you want to de-risk in three places. You want to de-risk in the discipline. That means understanding the product role. You want to de-risk in understanding the product that you're going to be working on, and you want to de-risk in understanding the industry and how the industry works. Majority of roles are filled internally. because you
Yeah.
de-risked knowing the product, people already work there, de-risked knowing the industry, people already work in the industry. You might not de-risk on the discipline, but then you as a product leader, you're going to teach, and sometimes it's even better because you teach without the biases and the ways of working of other places, so you control that. So that's the majority of roles, especially early entry roles, are filled internally. So that's kind of the advice. Transitioning internally, I would say, is maybe 80 to 90% of the way every PM started as a PM. How do you do that? Well, some advice: be a great performer at your job and role. Like, don't have the FOMO of I want to be a PM, I want to be a PM, so I'm just going to execute whatever feels like PMs want to see me execute. No, PMs and the product organization wants the best performers. We are normally very successful at grabbing that top person from that other team that the team would love to keep and retain, but you're going to sell the dream of executing and leading a product or a domain. So be a great performer in your role, make yourself seen, get sponsorship, explain to your manager that this is a transition. A lot of people are afraid to talk. If you're afraid to talk, you're not going to be a great PM. Like, you need to
Yeah.
say it out loud. If your manager is going to sabotage your situation, probably you're not supposed to be in that company anyway. So be open and transparent about that conversation, and then create trust with the product team, with the engineering team. You're going to be a proxy decision maker, so you want to make sure that they like you, they trust you, that they see you in their team, in their group. So do that, or build your own product. I'm going to talk about this in like a bit. Like, build your own product. Even if you work in a
Yeah.
company, build your own product, make that product seen, even if it's a side hustle, and that will create a signal for the team that says, oh, this person could be building product here, they're already
Yeah.
building outside, so why not? So this is kind of how I see it.
Okay.
That's
Perfect.
that's super useful and
Yeah.
actionable advice for people that want to transition into product, and for people that are eventually already in product or that are actively job hunting. What are some red flags that you would warn people against in job descriptions, or also on the other hand, what are some green flags that
Mhm.
this is a good product role?
Yeah. So, given the situation of the market, I don't think a lot of people have the luxury of like looking on red flags and saying, I'm not going to apply for this. Like, majority of people are in a tough situation. Or even if you want to change jobs because you need to change jobs, sometimes you don't have the luxury of saying, like, I'm not going to go into this, or going to apply, or not going to consider this because of something that's said there. Now, if we do want an answer here, I'd say, like, I'm very much against product owner roles, like the PO. I think I'm not a fan. Like, I understand companies
Yeah.
like that, but the majority of companies, in my opinion, uses it wrong. Uses as a bit of a hierarchical step, and you become kind of a glorified secretary of a real PM, and you kind of have all the pressure, but you don't have visibility or accountability about the actual product process. So I'd say that role descriptions that focus more on the product owner role and kind of a backlog manager rather than a true ideally empowered product manager, even if more junior or in a narrow domain, like, you really want to have access and accountability for the end-to-end process, right? The other thing I would look for is, like, a lot of project management description. It might mean that you're only going to do that part of the job, which isn't just a true product role. Like, it's a big part of the product job, but there's so much more. And if you're being hired for just that, it's a red flag that maybe you're not going to really do product. Yeah, I'd say, like, a last one would be if the job description has a very specific solution in mind that you're going to be managing. Like, often it means, like, someone already scoped whatever you're going to be building, so you're there to just execute and deliver, not so much to really understand the problem you're solving for and have the ability to own and design. And by design, I don't mean design actually, I mean design the path to deliver something that creates value to the company. You're just, oh, execute this that someone else already thought, and, like, don't scream too much. So I'd say, like, these are potentially some red flags. Green flags are hard to identify. I'd focus more on the company itself and what the company shipped, and feedback from people who work there, and ideally who already worked there and are no longer there, to understand if the culture is a great empowering culture, if the products are exciting, if the people are people you look up for and you'd like to work with and learn from. I'd say those are better green flags than any job description. Keep in mind, sometimes job descriptions were written by HR people with some bullet points that the product team kind of fed into them, and they're not really descriptive. Like a big, oh, by the way, a big advice for people is like job descriptions are wish lists. You rarely hire people that match a job description. That's what like the
Yeah.
ideal scenario, which you never hire for the ideal scenario. So whenever you're looking at the job description and you feel like, I don't really match on this point and that point and that point, it doesn't matter. Like nobody is gonna hire a person that completely matches all of those points. That's a wish list. So do apply. Like worst case scenario, you hear nothing from the company, which honestly, like a lot of people complain about that. Like, oh, the company ghosted me. Like that's unfortunately that's the majority of companies. But there's also a reason. Like you open up a job on LinkedIn today and you can easily get 200 applications in 24 hours. Like it's not feasible to either you have an automated method like AI answering to all of them, but then you can ask, oh, is it better to be ghosted or get an AI answer? I mean, you decide. So I wouldn't take it personally. Rejection is a big part, a big trait of anyone building product. So accept ghosting as a rejection and fine, move on. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's cool advice. And getting a bit more specific in your experience hiring people, when hiring for more junior roles, so not necessarily entry level, but like junior to mid product managers, what are the key traits or indicators that you're looking for?
Yeah, so I think there's a few things that stand out from the best PMs I worked with. I'd say grit, attitude, like that drive, curiosity to understand more of the problem space, and then work alongside others to get that solution into reality and delivering it. I think has a lot to do with your drive and your ability to kind of move mountains. I think you got to have that aura of a mountain mover person. I would say the ability to be very independent and not need handholding, and get people to trust that if they ask you for something, you're going to deliver. You're going to manage that communication. You're going to explain to people why things are going this way, not that way. That creates a lot of independence. And for any product leader who probably has a lot of stuff on their shoulders, that creates a lot of peace of mind. Often it doesn't matter so much if what you're doing and executing is the best way possible. As long as you're communicating and you're going on your own, you're already creating time, and that is valuable by itself. And finally, I'd say pragmatism, like you're super pragmatic, right? Like you're not complexifying things, you're deciding the best route possible with the information you have at hand, and you collaborate really well with others to go on that path and journey. So I'd say these are the things I would look for. I think like when I speak with more junior people, even if they've done product and have that very like Google style PM where you want to be enabled by others and you want to rely on others because you want to bring them together. I mean, honestly, that's BS right now. You want to be someone who can literally move the world on their own, and the team is a bonus. Like it's a bit of a contrarian thought, but like don't depend on having people to do parts of the role to be able to
Okay.
execute. Say, I can move the world by myself. Like I can do everything. Like the team is someone that will buy me time to focus on other things, but I wouldn't need them if you don't have them. Right. So I'd say like that, those are great traits to find in a product person.
That's cool.
Okay, and this is kind of a so as we talked about before, this kind of sometimes is a transitional role. So people transition from other areas into product management. So like someone coming from another background, from for example engineering or design, what are some strengths that you find that usually these people have, and sometimes some weaknesses they should care about? So it's things that you've seen over the years that sometimes people have and they should take care of.
So I also have a bit of a contrarian thought here. I think
Okay.
technical knowledge is actually worse for you as a PM than good,
Oh, okay.
because I think often technical people, when I say technical people, think engineers turn PMs or designers turn PMs or sometimes researchers
Yeah.
turn PMs. They shield themselves behind their technicality, and in product, there's no such thing. That it's shielding of yourself. You're going to lose stakeholders, you're going to lose customers because you believe you know best because you have the technical knowledge. And that technical knowledge should be driven by the technical team, the engineering team, the research team, the
Yeah.
design team, not yourself. You're there to enable others. So sometimes I see technical people going way too deep, micromanaging the process, and not focusing where they should be focusing on. Now, I do believe that you should double down on your strengths rather than improve your weaknesses. I think it's a common practice. Like
Okay.
great product leaders will create a very balanced team, not as, oh, I have everyone super strong as a T shape, but I have great spikers in different areas, and together they work well to create a balanced team. So if you do have great technical knowledge, then double down on that strength to own a product that's more technical, and you can be a great proxy decision maker for technical decisions. If you have great UX sense, use that to be closer to consumer type products and double down on that strength and be that the spiker on that sense.
Yeah.
Like, and in terms of gaps or weaknesses that are very common, uh, I think communication and negotiation tend to be the areas where more technical people lack.
Yeah.
Sometimes, again, they like to not only shield themselves in their technical knowledge, but also in the technical world where probably they were already great performers at. So instead of dealing
Yeah.
with the soft, which is zero soft, but the soft part of people and
Yeah.
communicating and getting kind of rejection in the face and having to negotiate your way through, I think they get a bit uncomfortable, but that's part of the job. So I'd say, like, those are the maybe the weaknesses that needs to be improved. But
Okay.
yeah, you can definitely double down on your strengths.
Great.
Super. Nice. All right.
Yeah.
I think we already have a good basis for what you see as product management and how to get into the job. Let's go a bit deeper into your experiences. And let's start with the one that you're most active on at the moment, the 1 month PM. What led you to creating it?
Yeah. So look, if I think about um, the future is about unleashing the ability of anyone to build solutions that solve their problems. Right? Like the next decade via the combination of like no code stuff, AI, prompting, being able to generate technology with literally the written or spoken word, which is a skill most people have. Then, of course, some are better than others, but it's a skill most people have. You'll accelerate the amount of people who can build product. Now, it doesn't mean you'll accelerate the percentage of people that get to build great products, but at least the amount of products that will come to the world because people have the ability now to build it and not depend on engineers or designers, because AI and tools will allow you to do that, is a order of magnitude compared to the past, both in terms of cost, but also speed of producing stuff. Now, the thing that will differentiate the ability to build a successful product is your understanding of the product process, is your understanding of how to speak with people, how to understand what they really want and care about and are willing to spend money and attention and time. It's the ability to understand what the iterative process looks like. It's the way to validate your assumptions rather than just put all your eggs in a basket and say, this is the solution that will make sense. And that is what led me to create product 1 month PM, because I want to have more people understanding how to think like a product builder or product architect. And I want to bring it to as many people as possible because technology will do that part. So we need to bring the product understanding and knowledge to as many people as possible. So when I designed 1 month PM, I thought, what's keeping a regular person who's maybe in the tech world, maybe not in the tech world, from learning product? And normally it's a combination of cost, it's a combination of time, it's a combination of
Yes.
excitement, it's a combination of empathy. Like all of these needed to be addressed by a program and by someone who was able to deliver that. In that case, I thought I could do that. And the feedback from everyone who participated kind of talks to that. And that led me to create 1 month PM. So like my goal is to get every single person that goes through our program to either participate in the construction and the design and the delivery of products to solve problems, or to get them to build their own companies and their own products so that they can eventually solve every single problem there is out there, which I believe technology can do.
That's cool. So you're
Yeah.
seeing it more as enabling anyone to build products in any situation, even more than like graduating product managers into the current
Oh,
roles.
definitely. I mean, look, as kind of I said on like how do you get to a product manager role? Like I believe one of them is to prove that you can build a product of your own, and eventually you'll
Yeah.
have two paths. Either you won't need a role because your product is succeeding and maybe making the income that you need to survive and grow, or it'll be your kind of portfolio to prove to others that you can be a product manager in the company and you can deliver. So I think more than graduating is equipping people with the ability to choose their paths within a product environment.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, and it's interesting that you brought also the AI subject, because it's very hard to escape it right now, and just how it will impact the way I'd say the PM field will evolve. By the way, I've used GPT-4 since the day I started being a PM, so I don't even know how to be a PM without it. And I was curious to understand, like on your side, how have you integrated AI into your day to day, and how you see it impacting the evolution? I guess you're gonna already allude to that in terms of how it will impact someone that wants to start a new product. It's gonna be a big help. But what else would you think about?
So let me answer this a bit differently.
Yeah,
So maybe this is a bit of another contrarian thought, but like I believe there's such a thing as a 10x PM. The same way there are 10x engineers. Like a lot of people say, "Oh, this is not true." It is true. If you worked with one, you know it's true. It's power law. Like it will feel like everyone else is kind of doing nothing while this person is like, what the hell? And like 99% of PMs and probably engineers are not 10x PMs, not 10x engineers.
yeah,
But if you know how to use AI properly, you can get very close to a 10x PM. I won't say you can get there, but you can get very close because you'll be able to kind of outsource and buy yourself time and let the AI do a lot of the things and be more of an editor than a driver, and then focus on things that maybe the AI isn't great at today, and you'll be great at driving that. And then your combined output will be kind of the same or close to what a 10x PM or a 10x engineer, I'm going to focus on the 10x PM, can do.
yeah,
Uh, and I think if you can get this to like 10-20% of PMs being able to really enable this and be closer to 10x, like that's an order of magnitude of productivity across companies, across the environment of building products. And I think that's massive. I think what I would say, more than saying like, oh, this is how I use, or this is what I do, or this is the tools, like I would say like a new hat you can wear as a PM is being an AI ops person. An AI ops person is someone who looks at the workspace, the workflow, the processes, and the mindset of people and says, like, how can I use AI tools or an AI environment to superpower you into becoming
yeah,
a 10x person, a 10x operator, super operator, right? I
yeah,
think every PM can help turn as many people as possible closer to a 10x builder than
yeah,
before. And I would say like this is how I think about bringing AI into the workflow of companies.
yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
All right. One interesting topic, we've talked about it in the past, so some people may have heard about it, but it's the tour of duty concept. And you've had many tours of duty along your journey. And before we get into your favorite or your most exciting tour of duty, what is the tour of duty concept and how do you apply it?
Yeah. So, in my view, and based on what I've read and consumed and did, like a tour of duty is basically a mission you kind of sign up for and you're dedicating yourself to it, and you close yourself from other opportunities or other missions until you're basically done. And the best performers are people who sign up for tours of duty and they don't let go until they're either kind of excused of that tour of duty or it's done. Like, and I think more people should think a bit like this. And then when tours of duty are done, you should reassess life. You should reassess your environment. You should reassess the next tour of duty, and then decide: do you want to sign up for? Go for it. If not, move on. I think most people end up feeling like zombies in their jobs because they're not signing up for tours of duty. They're too afraid of letting go and not committing or committing, and they just keep going as life goes on. And I think the best ones don't act like that. They're constantly reassessing: is my tour of duty done? Do I want to sign up for another one, or do I need to look for a different one? And the tour of duty isn't just like doing a job or being in a company. It's within the same company, you might have different tours of duty. And I think great managers who understand this concept are always thinking like, how is this tour of duty of this person in my team going? Like, how can I create the next one that they'll want to sign up for, or I risk losing them? And there was always a point where tour of duty done, I believe this person can be happier, grow faster, be more exposed, or is ready for the next step, maybe a step I don't have for them right here. And I want to empower them to look for that next step outside. And this is a conversation more managers should have around tours of duty, especially with their best talent.
Bit of thinking like what's the one thing that you should be focusing on at one given time. That's cool. And what's your tour of duty or career achievement that you're most proud of or happy about?
Yeah, so I'd say developing the people that were in my teams and seeing them now becoming product leaders or product managers at super large companies, fast growing companies, or managing quite large P&Ls. I think that's kind of the thing I'm most proud of. I sometimes speak with the CEOs or the CPOs of these companies, and they give me great feedback about people that were managed by me, were in my team, that I recruited, that I helped develop, and that's kind of the thing I'm most proud of because it's leverage, right? Like it's not just the products that they worked with me. It's now the companies that they're going to be leading. It's the people that are going to be recruiting. It's the people that are going to be coaching and mentoring. I think that's the thing I'm most proud of. If I think on a business point of view, I would say like the process that led to selling Kitch, like 18 months after we launched, uh, is probably something I'm super proud, and the team executed world class there. And then maybe getting 1 month PM built, and now nearly 2,000 people joining cohorts, all organic, zero spend, I think is something that I'm super proud of. And yeah, all of this will lead to new projects and new things, especially for next year. And I'm excited about that.
That's cool. That's a great segue into talking a little bit about Kitch and what was the process like. Um, Maybe before that, do you want to unveil a little bit of the upcoming projects? You don't need to get into details, but just giving some light, some teasers of what's coming up for you.
Sure. There's like a lot of stuff. So 1 month PM will keep growing. We've just added in the last few months a head of product program for senior PMs who want to kind of get to the next level. It's a invite only. We want to make sure we have the right people in the right career stage to join this program. Like the foundations program, and that's the most popular. We'll keep growing. We'll keep running, and the feedback keeps being super positive. We're now building a product manager interview bootcamp that will change the way people participate in interviewing preparation programs. I think it's going to be a really interesting program for next year. We just finished building an engineering program, product engineering program, like helping engineers understand the product role and how to become product engineers rather than just software developers. I think that's going to be an exciting one. We're closing more companies that are designing programs with us, custom programs. I think that's cool. We just launched productmanagertemplates.com so that you can actually
Yeah.
access a lot of templates on Notion, on Google Docs, on Miro. We're supporting new platforms soon. I think that's exciting. I'm launching a talent collective for heads of product and product leaders, senior PMs who are eventually looking for a step up. This is something I'm going to be launching soon. And quite a few other things in the cooks for next year. Like at the end of the day, I want to build this product organization, at least Europe wide, that has a bunch of verticals and areas that will enable companies and individuals to become better at building product. And I think there's so much to be done here. Other things that are under wraps being built, but it's going to be a combination of this. And yeah, I'm excited about that.
Cool. Sounds amazing. And it's pretty much in line with what we also have as a goal and a vision with the Product Weekend and Product Weekend podcast.
Yeah, maybe
So, yeah,
everything will be within one group. Why not?
yeah, there's a lot of synergies for sure. Um, cool. Then, yeah, let's get to the topic of kids. In the intro episode, I mentioned that there was a topic I was very interested in discussing, which is this one, because yeah, just for a bit of context, we had a conversation for the Productize/Product Weekend podcast around a year and a half, a year ago, more or less, and we talked about this, but those were different times, and I'm curious to know like what happened in the meantime, what was the process, and what were the main learnings. So yeah, maybe let's start with what exactly is Kitch and how did you create it, and then that initial pivot with the pandemic and how it happened.
Yeah, sure. So Kitch is a food tech company. We started building it in 2019, end of 2019, right before the pandemic, with a very clear vision. We wanted to help bring restaurants to the cloud. Restaurants are used to getting customers within their four walls, but there's hundreds of thousands of people who don't have access to the restaurant. And often they ask for food and delivery apps, and the restaurant isn't prepared to deal with that volume. Their kitchen's already full with people there. They can support it. So we thought about solving the capacity problem via dark kitchens. So build this space where people could be cooking the food and being delivery only without disrupting those who are going to the restaurant. So we built that really fast. The team, we built an amazing product team. Actually, a funny story is like I pinged André Muniz to kind of lead the engineering effort and sold the dream. He got super excited and he said, like, I have a team of designers and engineers. I want to bring, there are four. I want to bring them into Kitch. I think together we can build a great product organization. And the funny thing is, the four of them were called Andre, and I'm Andre. So the whole product organization team, five of us were Andres. So in a company of eight people, five of them were Andres, which is uncanny. It's like, this doesn't happen. So we just built everything. And then we were slated to launch in uh, February 13th. This was a Friday, which is crazy. You don't launch a product on a Friday, nor you launch a product on a Friday 13th. But this was our plan. It was 41 days after we decided what to build. So we executed really fast. And on that Friday, March 13th, not February, March 13th. And on that Friday, our prime minister said, look, COVID's ramping up. Every restaurant's going to close. And we were launching on that day when that announcement went public. And on that same day, every single restaurant, our clients said, look, guys, our restaurants just became dark kitchens. We don't need your dark kitchen. So we're pulling out. And they're like, what the hell? So I think there are like two paths in that moment. Most teams would have said, like, after a tough week launching a product that often gets people working longer than they wanted, people would say, I'm tired. Let's speak on Monday and see what we do. We did the opposite thing. We said, we built everything for our dark kitchen, and suddenly every single restaurant is a dark kitchen, which means that whatever we built, we can just adjust and make it ready for literally every restaurant that is now a dark kitchen. So in literally 24 hours, from Friday to Saturday, the team changed everything that needed to be changed so we could launch in the restaurants. And Saturday night, we were there, we were launching, we were going live, we were making our first revenue on that Saturday. And that just created the culture that shaped Kitch for the entirety of the following year and a half until we sold. I think it says a lot about the team that we built, about the people we hired, the way we executed. It was something that I think I'll remember for a long, long time. Yeah,
It's
that's
amazing.
that's kind of the
And
beginning.
those, yeah, I think those stories that are like culture defining are super important. Like, how do you think about those? Are they like generally just happen organically? Should you, as a leader, try to create these experiences that are like pivotal and
Oh no,
define the
you you,
culture
you don't want to create
intentionally?
you don't want to create pivotal pivotal moments that will make gray hair grow faster than anything. You want to be prepared to react to those situations when they do come up, and they'll come
Yeah.
up. You don't need to create them, they'll come up. If you're building a startup,
Hmm.
a new product, if you're going against an incumbent or someone that's huge in the market, they'll come up. Don't worry. It's all about like how you react. And even how you react, like, you can try to shape it, but the real reaction will be as real time as it can, and that will tell everything about the people you hired, who you are, both as a leader but also as someone executing, especially if it's a small team. So I don't think you need to focus so much on how you'll react. I think you need to focus more on learning from your reactions, asking yourself, how would we want to react next time? Like, what did we do wrong? Maybe how can we be better? How can we be faster? I think that's more important than anything else.
Makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
And there are many interesting things that I would love to get into more details, but for the sake of keeping it within the time we agreed, maybe we can have a round two in a couple of months.
Happy to do that.
But yeah, how were the next steps? So you did that pivot, quite successful, started growing, got into many restaurants. Then there was the acquisition,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
How was that
So
process? How did it come up?
So we were super lucky to build a food tech company right before a pandemic. Like this doesn't happen, right? Like that's exactly what I said about luck and being prepared. Like we were prepared. We built an amazing team. I think Hui and Nuno, two of the founders, they're amazing, and they were able to build such a great team, and that got us prepared to the luck of a lifetime from a company building point of view, which was a pandemic. If I look back, I wish it didn't happen, but at the same time, I'm a half full glass type of person. So for us, it was great, and that created a lot of tailwinds. Like I don't think people realize, but for like 12 months, we were growing like 15% week over week, not month over month, week over week. That was insanely fast. So it's like that quote from Reid Hoffman is like, building a company is like going down on a plane trying to fix stuff and while eating glass or something. That's exactly what we felt, especially because the pull from product market fit was so strong. So we started executing, we started growing, we launched new products. We were constantly trying to talk with customers, building a bit of a product culture across the entire organization because we wanted super fast feedback loops. And then Glovo, so big unicorn out of Spain, got in touch with us. They really enjoyed what we were building. They were looking at their next stage of growth, which involved going beyond the marketplace, going beyond the core business. And we were a SaaS, we were orbital to Glovo, kind of catering to their clients around how to grow both directly, both logistically, with their own apps. So it kind of makes sense. They approached us. They wanted to partner from a commercial standpoint. They started enjoying our team. There was a lot of dine and wine. And it's like, do the cultures fit? Does this make sense? And then a couple months later, about 6 months of these conversations, they realized, yeah, we'd be a great asset to them. Our teams working together, supporting also us because we're super small. We're talking about an 80, 90 people team versus a 3,000 people company at Glovo. But that led to an offer for the acquisition of the entire company. This was like 18 months after we launched. And at that time, it was very hard to say no because it was a very good offer. It was very early in the team. The team was excited about that. So it just made sense. And that's how it went.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was your thought process? Because like at that moment, if I'm not mistaken, you were working not only with Glovo but also with Uber and Bolt, right?
Yeah. I mean, Glovo
What was
knew the
the
risks.
thought process in
Yeah.
that acquisition? And
So Glovo never had the intention of like shutting down Kitch as a brand. Like they knew that we wanted and needed some independency because we were working with multiple partners, and these partners are building their own software to aggregate and connect to other partners. That's just how the market goes. Of course, there were always risks on the table that we weren't able to work with these companies anymore. But Glovo was willing to pay to play and kind of knew our technology and our team and our process and the way we executed outweighed the risks of that acquisition. So it was a part of a conversation, but we knew how to deal with that.
okay, cool. And what happened next?
So next, we closed the acquisition. We started working together throughout 2022. It was a very rough year from both a macroeconomic perspective, but also from a going out of COVID that put a lot of pressure on online delivery, put a lot of pressure on us as well. But we started integrating the technology with Glovo. The team started getting like all the processes together. And keep in mind, like 90% of all M&As end up in a situation where the acquiring company folds the other company internally, uses the technology, integrates internally. And that's just, we knew Glovo was buying us because of product, because of tech, not so much because of the business. We were tiny compared to them. But so that integration would eventually make sense. And I think in the end of the day, like we ended up closing Kitch Q2 of this year, so a couple months ago. But I think one of the things that makes me the happiest is knowing we built amazing people that after this experience, which I believe is sometimes once in a lifetime, not a lot of people actually get to go through an acquisition, through M&A, through an exit, through liquidity, through integrating with a huge company growing super fast. And I think we build amazing people that are always able to land on their feet, bring those experiences to other companies that will help them grow. So I think that was something amazing. And if I had to look back in terms of hard moments and maybe like big learnings from this, which is a big retrospect, like I think every single person should go through a retrospect. I think a very hard moment was like knowing that this decision of like folding into Glovo was made, but legally we, the leadership team, couldn't actually talk to the team about that. That's very normal in M&A. The same way that we couldn't talk about the M&A that was going in due diligence, but we still had to deal with like everyday things, like keep it keep the lights on, guaranteeing the business ongoing. People still come to work and deal with that. Like I think that was really hard, especially when people would be able to digest it and deal with that because they're great. You hire great people, but legally you can't, and you don't want to risk legal liabilities,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I would say like a huge learning from that is that velocity is everything. Like the best products win because they execute faster than others. Like quality comes from speed of quantity. It's about reps. It's about shipping. It's about learning faster than others, changing faster than others, correcting faster than others, and shipping again. Like the time that others took to ship the first version, you want to get like 5 in because you've now learned from those 5 while they haven't learned from their first. I usually say products and new companies, it's like running a marathon at the speed of a 100-meter race with hurdles. So just
Sounds easy,
resilience and speed.
right?
Yeah, it's super easy. It's super simple. But I would say like this is my reflection, like a summarized, synthesized reflection.
All right. Cool. And to wrap it up and talking of speed, let's go to our sprint questions. Um, just to wrap up the episode. What's one digital product you would struggle to live without?
Oh, my to-do list, 100%. Like my to-do list guides my life. It's my operating system. So I used to use Wunderlist. They got bought by Microsoft and their acquisition, and now I still use Microsoft To Do, which is
Okay.
what Wunderlist was. So yeah, I can live without it.
Nice. All right. And what's the most underrated skill in product management?
Maybe this is a bit of a contrarian thought, but like I would say simplifying things. Like a lot of like PMs tend to be very smart people. Very smart people can go deep on topics, and the wrong type of PMs make it complex because they want to look smart, right? The best PMs, they simplify everything. Like they make it look like you're talking to a golden retriever, like because it will just help everything work better. So simplifying things, it's a very
Yeah.
underrated skill.
Nice one. And lastly, if you could shadow any product manager or product leader or leader in general for a day, who would it be?
So the non-serious answer is like me in 10 years, because that's like what Matthew McConaughey answered when he won his Oscar, right? No, but the serious answer would be probably like the guys at OpenAI, because they're like executing world-changing products. Like Peter Deng, I think it's the new VP product, or Mira Murati, which is a CTO. I think they must like I've read amazing things about them. Probably like I don't know if you know a guy called like Peter Levels, like Levels.io. Like he builds
Yeah.
indie stuff, like solo stuff. I think his product process is amazing. And maybe Amjad Masad, he's the CEO of a company called Replit. So I'd say like I think they're building something amazing for the next generation on developer stuff. So I'd say these 4 people, I would definitely
Nice.
love to shadow them and understand their thought process.
Super cool. Super cool. And
Great.
with Peter Levels, I think he was living in Lisbon
Yeah,
last
he
year or
lives in
so.
Ericeira, like half of the year in
Okay.
Ericeira, the other half in Thailand or something like that.
So that's easy. You can shadow him very easily.
And
Nah,
Shannon
he's
is sourcing.
no, he knows how to protect his own time and
Yeah.
sanity, so he keeps everyone else apart, and that's great. I mean, it works really well
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
him, and
No, it's
uh,
very interesting. Like he has a whole page explaining like if you want to contact me, don't.
exactly. I mean, that's one
Easy.
way of doing it. I eventually I'll do that. That would be great.
All right. Tujal, do you have our release notes?
Yeah, no, it was very hard. I don't know why I suggested this idea, but well, just to kind of and especially Andre is dropping the wisdom bombs at all times, so it's hard to keep up. But just a few things. So on a few things I pointed out was how to get into PM. So kind of be a top performer, make yourself seen in the company. That's really important. Create trust within the product team, and also if you can create your own product, that's a way to really stand out. Then on the job ads, some red flags. If you want to work as a PM, don't go for the PO opportunity. That's usually not a good idea. And if you see that the solution is very specific, maybe it's not good for you because you don't have much room to change things. And on the green flags, you mentioned just look at the people. Do you want to work with them? That's the best green flag you can look for. Then some characteristics that the junior PM should have. So grit, curiosity, being independent, and pragmatism. And lastly, in between many other things I could say, people come from a technical background. What should they look for? So in terms of strengths, double down on your strengths, but don't shield yourself behind that knowledge. So keep your options open in that sense. And then on terms of weaknesses, work on your communication and negotiation skills. So there's a lot more I could say, but these are some of the things we can mention right now, and everything else is on the episode. So listen up.
We gotta get
All right.
some AI to summarize this and help you do your job 10x time.
Yeah.
10x.
There you go. No, yeah, next time it's gonna be that way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Andre, thank you so much for joining us, for sharing your experiences. And yeah, hope you enjoy it as well.
Thanks.
See you next time.
Cheers. Thanks all.
Yeah, thank you so much, André. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Product Weekend podcast. Our next episode will feature David Pereira, CEO and product coach. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts, so that you don't miss upcoming episodes. See you on the next one.